All right. So, welcome to Talk Hard Radio.
Talk Hard Podcast.
I never get it right. I think we should be Talk Hard Radio, but
We will be as soon as we get out of this office space into a bigger office space and become a media channel that inspires others to start their podcast, and then we can broadcast them to the world. Welcome to Talk Hard Podcast, where I have learned to accept about the fact that sometimes we talk a little bit too hard, and we need to have a little bit of fun too. So today, damn it, I've had a rough day. I'm going to have some fun.
we've been having some fun. Also, guys, I want you guys to know if you guys listening to audio, you can find us on most all audio platforms if you guys want to check us out over there as well.
And if you're looking for one, just leave us a comment and we'll place it there too. What do you want to talk about?
I don't know. I've been you know, let's talk about we kind of dived in a little bit in the relationship episode, whatever.
Yep.
Right. You know, about falling in love with yourself and about falling in love with the process. You know, and it's kind of what's on my mind lately.
Yep.
Because I see out here that everybody is in love with the idea that you spoke of. Like, I want to be a business owner. I want to be an entrepreneur. That's such a big thing, right? I want to start some businesses. I want to open, and this is huge too, is like, I want to open sober living houses. And I want, you know, and that's the thing about sober, like any business, if you're in love with the idea of it more so than what it takes to get there and to maintain there, then you're never going to make it. You're
100%.
going to fail horribly, especially with sober livings. Like, that is not, you know, I can just speak on sober livings because I own 5 sober livings. I can speak on businesses because I am co-founder and, you know, all these different things inside a few treatment centers. But sober living is just not glamorous in any way. If you're doing it for money, you're doing it for the wrong things. There's not a lot of money in it. So there is so much that goes into that. And if that's not who you are to your core, then you're not going to make it. And you're doing it for the wrong reason.
Well, here's just the truth.
Because it sounds sexy.
Let's just get to the truth of it. And I was speaking to somebody yesterday about this. If you're doing anything just for money, you're chasing the wrong thing. Money is a byproduct of hard work, of dedication, of following your dreams. Like, that is just what happens when... That's why people are like, oh, I chase money. And you're like, make the money chase you. There's a reason people say that is because when you are chasing after the money, you feel like you're never getting anywhere because money has no emotions. It doesn't care where it goes. Like, you can't go down that road.
More you make, the more you spend.
Right. So if you fall in love with the process, if you feel like people, when I say people love the idea more than they love the actual thing, it's because they love what they think the end is and they don't love the journey. If you love the journey, whether it be relationship, business, or anything else, if that's what you fall in love with, then you're actually in love.
People, I 100% agree with you.
Because it comes with some hard-ass times.
Yeah, and you got to be in love with that too.
Yep.
Like, you literally have to fall in love with the fact that you're going to fail. Mm-hmm. And I tell people this, and this is Will Smith, fail often, fail forward. You know, keep failing. It's not, I don't like even using the word fail, but that's the terminology I'll use so you can understand what I'm saying. Like, that's a learning process. I do not grow when I don't grow when everything's great. And when the business is running smoothly, when my friendships and relationships are running smoothly and everything's just, I do not grow 1 ounce. It's when I struggle or when I get disappointed or when I get my heart broke or when, you know, somebody lets me down or disappoints me. That's when I have to take a step back and kind of feel it, acknowledge it, and then I get to make a choice at that point.
Yep.
Like, does this failure defy me? Is it? I can go 2 routes. There's only 2 routes you can go when something tragic or bad or you get hit in the head with a 2x4 metaphorically. There's only 2 routes you can go. You can sit and wallow in it and let that be your reason and have a chip on your shoulder and all these other things and be bitter and just be in that negativity. Mm-hmm. Or you can choose a different route. Say, I'm going to grow. Like I say this all the time. I don't have to go through anything. I get to grow through these things.
Yeah.
And I get to flip that negative, whatever it may be, circumstance, situation, even friendships and relationships. I get to flip that and say, this is going to be my fire. This is going to be my drive. This is why I'm going to push harder, because I failed right there. I see where I failed, and now I get to try it again. Yeah. I get to try it with a new mindset, new knowledge, maybe I need to study. Maybe I need to go to college. Maybe I need to read a freaking book to figure out what I did wrong.
But we talked about this today. Like, I actually posted about this. Good times create weak people.
I see that, yeah. I've seen that.
Weak people create bad times. Bad times create strong people. Strong people create bad times. This is an evolution. Tony Robbins talks about patterns. Like, pattern is the key to success in all realms of life. There's pattern recognition. First, you have to understand how the patterns happen. Then there's pattern utilization, which means, like, when you're learning to play the piano, first you have to understand it, right? You have to recognize the pattern. Then you typically will play someone else's music. Then you get so good at it, you can now make your own. And now you've mastered it, right? That's the point of all of this. So when you talk about business, right, it's like, again, we just talked about it in the last podcast. Go back, listen to it. It was a lot of fun, at least for me.
I hated it. If you want to see me squirm and sweat, go back and watch the last podcast on relationships.
People go from the what to the how, and they skip the why.
The why, that's most important.
The why is ultimately the actual key, because that's where your drive and your passion come. Like, why do I want this? If money is your answer, wrong.
You're going to fail.
Chances are you're definitely going to fail. I've done this, failed miserably. My only goal was I set this number, and then I got there and was like, okay, so I wanted to make $100,000. I did, but it cost me $97,000 to run the business. So
welcome to sober living. That's kind of how that works.
That didn't work out very well, right? Like, you set these unrealistic goals instead of, once you shift it and you're like, why do I want to do this? Do I want to change lives? Do I want to create something amazing? Do I want a product I can stand behind? One of the new, businesses that I'm getting involved in, I'm not the owner. The owner has come to me and likes my business mind on a different realm, and he's built a beautiful business. But what I was looking through, like, all the different things, and I'm like, where's your vision statement?
Right.
Like, why do you do this? If your employees, because as you grow a business, your people need to know why.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this? What is the purpose for this? And I don't care what it is. I don't care if you're pushing pallets, building micro machines. Like, I don't care. And there's my age, obviously, because I had micro machines, but I don't care.
I wonder if are those still a thing, Chris?
Hot Wheels are always going to be a thing. Micro machines were like, remember the guy who used to really had a micro machine?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, nobody knows what we're talking about.
So if your why is what drives you, then that's the business you should be in. I've done a lot of different business adventures, and a lot of the reasons why I always got bored was because my why wasn't in check. And so with things like this, and the reason why I can go do, right now I'm working at 2 places, so I get up at 4:30 in the morning, I do my typical 8-hour day, and then I go straight to another place where I am really just diving into the place and trying to just get an understanding. It has no monetary value to me right now. I didn't want that. I said, I want to understand.
There's plenty of value in it.
Right. There's a lot of value in it, and money doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So I'm adding value, and if you want to know how you build anything, if you're not the type of person that wants to be a business owner, awesome. Some people are better at being number 2. There's nothing wrong with that. But you need to understand that you get paid for the value you add, not for the value you think you are.
Right.
So every time I go somewhere, anywhere, I try to add value.
And that's I don't give a shit if you work. I could tell a story about working in a factory. If you're low man on the totem pole in a factory, if you're not adding value, that's exactly where you're going to stay.
100%.
And I can tell a whole story on that. It's kind of a good story, but it's because it's true. It's like,
it is.
Not to interrupt you, man, but listen,
you're
like, this was a good story because this was it happened. Like, I got a job I got out of jail. I moved into a sober living. I got a job through a temporary service at a local factory that actually was an hour and 5-minute walk away. And I had to be there by like 5:30, 6:30, something like that in the morning. And I had to walk an hour, and I did it, man. But that's the thing. I was 35 years of age. I was so so like ready to change my life. I was so ready to I was so determined. I didn't know what my purpose was yet. I had no idea what kind of a purpose I had. I just know that I was willing to do whatever it took to get me wherever I need to be. And at that point, I was making like $7.50 an hour. I was paying sober living, which was like $125 a week, and I was paying child support. And at the end of the week, I had like $20 to my name. Every damn week. And this is a job where I went to work. I walked to work at 5 o'clock, at 4 o'clock in the morning, in the rain sometimes, in the sleet. My ass was chapped by the time I got there. I worked all day with a wet ass, I work, but I was always that guy that we would take breaks or a machine would break down. Guess what? I wouldn't go away and smoke or go over to the bathroom and mess around, talk. I would be there. A machine would break down. I would watch the maintenance men come up and work on the machine.
Yep.
I would watch them do it. And while everybody else on the line would take off and do their thing, I was sitting there watching them, and I really didn't have intentions of what I was doing, or I don't know. It's just kind of who I was at this time.
Driven by purpose.
I was just who I was. Mm-hmm. Like I wanted to see that, Like I've always been that person. Like I'm destined for greater things, but had no plan or had no idea how to do it. It was a feeling. And I think a lot of people out here can relate to that, especially addicts and alcoholics. We know we're better than this. But anyway, I would watch them fix it. And then they would come and it would break down again, and same thing would happen. Watch them fix it again, and then the third time. Guess who ran over there real quick and fixed the machine?
Right.
And they didn't need to call the maintenance man. So I would run over there, fix the machine. Next thing you know, and I'm going to tell you this, it'd piss off everybody on the line because they weren't there for the reason I was there.
Yep.
They weren't ready to change their life. They was ready to take that little smoke break or that little drink at the water fountain or whatever it was. Yep. But me, I didn't care about any of that. I wanted to be the best I could possibly be at that time. And that's working in a shitty factory for $20 a week at the end of the week. Right? So I would fix it, and then the next time, I began to get noticed. Like Marty's got it. Don't worry about it. Don't need to call the maintenance man over here. He's got it. And I'd fix another machine. I'd fix another part of the machine. It'd break down everywhere. So I just learned all this machine by watching them. And it wasn't long. I was there for a while. It wasn't long that a maintenance man position was open. Guess who they looked at?
100%.
Guess who they came to and said, hey, you need to go fill out that real quick. Guess who got the job? I went from $7.50 an hour to almost $20 an hour.
Yep.
Damn near overnight. I learned everything in that factory, and I killed it at that too. And that's the thing. And it's like, that's how I lived my life, is I just kept doing that. I kept showing up. I was early to work. I stayed late. I learned the machines. I would learn this. And I really, at the time, didn't know why I was doing any of it.
Yeah.
I was in love with that process.
100%. So for me, and I feel the reason why, I'm just going to say it, I'm successful on many realms, and it has no monetary value to it. I don't remember the last time I looked at my bank account because I don't have to think about that anymore, which was part of my determination, right? I was like, I want to get to a point where I don't care. People are like, man, have you seen the prices of gas? I'm like, don't even look when I go to gas. Like, yeah, I mean, I see them now that people are saying stuff about it, but most of the time I don't care. That's not.
I know that I need to fill up my tank regardless.
I know that I need gas.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm not going to focus on little things. I need something bigger. I need to put myself in that position. So to put myself in that position, every time I've had an interview and they ask, well, what is your goal? I said, I want your job.
I love it.
You're hiring me.
Yes.
That's the job I want. I don't care if you're the owner. Mm-hmm. That's where I want to sit.
I want a percentage.
And I'm not going to stop until I get there. And when I get there, I'm going to do an amazing job. And I'm going to say, you're welcome. And I'm going to walk out the door and go do something else.
See that?
Ownership.
That's it.
And you know what?
If everybody could take on that mindset.
I always add more value than I get paid.
There you go.
Because I get to sleep good at night from it, right? Like, I know that you want to talk about job security.
They're not going to fire you.
I'm telling you right now, when I had this last one, we talked about this in the last podcast, I told them I was leaving, and I got a call. What's your number? I said, there's not one. That's not why I do this.
Yeah.
I do this because of the growth factor. And where I want to go,
you can't take me there.
You can't.
Right.
It's just the reality of like corporate America in that aspect. Like the company's amazing. Don't get me wrong. I've learned a ton from being there.
Right.
But my goal from day one, I've put in more hours than I've gotten paid for.
Which
I've done more than what is asked of me because, and again, I'm not keeping scores. You owe me, but I'll tell you right now, if I needed to take a day off, they'd be like, okay.
Right.
They wouldn't even question it. If I showed up late, okay, because that's not like you. Right. You're not abusing the process. All these people set this like, you owe me. No one owes you anything. Yeah. Period. Blame no not one. The way the world works.
Blame no one. Expect nothing, and just do.
Just go after it, man. The only person in your way is you. We've talked about this before. Like, you are the only person in your way, and if you go somewhere and you don't want what's next, you're settling. We talked about that.
Yeah, no settling.
This is just where people live. And look, I understand it's hard. My life is not easy, and I love it.
No one said it was going to be easy.
Like, I suck at a lot of things, and I embrace that. You know what it does? It inspires me to not suck at that.
Well, even with me, it's like, I suck at that. I tried that. Okay, I'm gonna quit focusing on that.
Oh, 100%.
I'm going to focus on what I'm good at.
Right.
I'm going to hyper focus on what I'm good at, and I'm going to nail that.
There are just certain things that I'm like I hate reading. You know what I'm doing right now? Forcing myself to read.
You know the benefits.
I suck at it.
You know the benefits of that.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now we're diving deeper in like the mental aspect of it, and we can always dive into that. But
we do a lot.
We definitely do a lot
on
of that.
this show.
So many people are so set in their ways with the way they live their life. It drives me insane. Only because I don't. And it's like, it's hard for me to accept because I see all these people going through all these difficulties.
It's those same people that are complaining and bitching about their life and the situations that they're in and the victim role mentality that they take on. Yep. It's those same people that are showing up late for work. It's those same people that are missing appointments. It's those same people that when they get home after an 8-hour shift, they do nothing besides watch Netflix. You know, and they want to complain about how their life isn't where they want it to be. Like, I
got a violin. I can get it out for just a second.
I'm serious though. Like, you want to, like, I talk to hundreds of people, right? And a month, hundreds of people a month, and I ask them certain questions, like, where are you at? Where, you know, what's going on? And well, I'm saying, you know, this and this is going on, and you know, and then I keep asking questions, and I do that not to sound like a reporter, but I want to find out some context of what's going on. Yep. And 99% of everybody who's complaining about their life, their circumstances, where they're at in relationships, where they're at in friendships, where they're at in their business or at their job or whatever, I ask them, what do they do? Like, you are unhappy with the job that you have, the 8 hours a day that you put in that job. You hate it. You absolutely. How many people out here hate their job? I bet you so many people say me right here. I hate my job. I hate what I do. Okay, so you go to work. You're there from 9 to 5, 7 to 3:30, whatever it is, right? What are you doing with the other however many hours in your day?
Well, what are you in love with?
Right. Well, that's number one. Like you just
talked about, right? Like, we need to get to the point of,
what is your purpose?
Like, what are you in love with?
Right.
And if it ain't yourself from the jump, you've got a problem from the start. That's where it starts.
You can work on that, though.
Once you get control of that, we've talked about this before, ownership starts with owning yourself, owning your day.
Discipline.
From there, and you've learned to love yourself. And for me, this was super difficult. I got 2 older brothers that were very good at a lot of things, and I was the youngest and always felt like I had to fight my way into everything. And so for a while, like, I would act confident, and I had the confidence, but deep down inside, I was like, oh, man, it's just not for me. You know what I mean? And even though there was, like, data that backed all it up, it was never enough for me because I didn't love myself enough. And as soon as I embraced that moment through a lot of therapy, a lot of very uncomfortable conversations that made me realize that I was battling demons that don't even exist. Right?
Like so many of us, right?
Right? It's because...
Or we're hyper-focused on the demons or the defects, right?
Right, which we've talked about this before, limiting beliefs. They're things that aren't actually true. We make them true. They're so true in our head.
There's so much shit that goes through my head on a daily basis. When I catch myself, I'm like, what am I doing?
Right.
I'm creating problems that don't exist.
Right. So
constantly.
They haven't fallen in love with the process, which is what we've talked about. So the process starts with falling in love with yourself. So embrace your good. Embrace your suck, too. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody sucks at something.
Hashtag embrace your suck.
So that's part of, like, I don't love my wife because of who she is. I love her for who she is going to be. That's where falling in love with someone happens. It's like the process. Right. I'm in love with watching her journey and who she was when I met her and who she is today and where we're going to go and all these great things, because that's what love really is. And that's what being in love with yourself really is. Like, she wasn't perfect when I met her, neither was I.
Right.
But when you're in love with something,
by the way.
oh, I definitely was a mess. And I still am on many levels. Like, I'm far from perfect. I'm never going to be. But damn it, if I'm not going to die trying. Right. So that's being in love with the journey. And it's not just where you're at. It's where you're going to go. It's what you want to do. And if you hate your job, like, what are you afraid of? And then somebody I'm going to call you out. Fear has many forms. Yeah, I get it. But it causes the same reaction in the body every single time. Yeah,
that's why I think
there's a million things to be afraid of.
This world right now is so hyped up on motivation and this daily grind, and you see it on social media, the hustle.
Yep,
all about the hustle.
Yep,
right. Well, I think motivation is worthless. Motivation doesn't last. Discipline, if you don't, and guys, trust me when I say I have struggled with it daily. Daily discipline. I'm going to talk about my morning habit that I just got into too again, yep. Because it's literally changed my life already, right? But discipline is everything. Motivation doesn't last. You could see it inspire. You can watch this video right here and be like, yeah, woo, I want to do something. Woo! And then 5 minutes later, you're back to on your TikTok, just scrolling. Right?
There's a study about this actually. Less than 5% of people that go to like motivational things actually do something with the information.
That's a pretty good percentage.
It actually is.
You know what I mean?
Like I think they're being generous.
I do
it's
too.
probably a lot lower, but I think they're just trying to not have the business fall out from underneath them. Right? They're like, well, these 5% of you will come back.
They're like, why do I go pay $2,000 to see?
And yet they do it, right?
Yeah.
They've tried the modalities, they tried all the different things, and then something needs to shift. Yeah, you do, idiot. I'm sorry.
Discipline, man. To be, if you cannot discipline and train yourself to do the things that you know you should do, the things that you really truly want to do, and put yourself in places you know will take you to that next level, will take you to where, and this is a slow process.
Oh yeah,
God, it's the slowest, and this is why nobody does it.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Like, I could sit up here and I could talk to you about all the things that we're doing, and we could. You too. Like, you guys are going to be like, oh, it's easy for you. Mm-hmm. Bullshit.
No.
This is the hardest fight of my life, trying to battle the demon inside, trying to battle the defects and the laziness and the character and all these different things, the sloth, the restless, irritable, discontent. It's a battle every day for me to do differently, to change bad habits into good habits, to turn character defects into assets, and that's why my morning routine, which I think like we talked about it. I made a commitment to you, and I made a commitment to myself about it. Like, so the icy shower thing, like, it's literally, it's not that, it is that, right? Icy showers look it up. If you guys don't know the benefits of icy showers, it just seems like something you do on TikTok.
Cold showers.
Cold showers. Yeah. My shit's, it's winter in Indiana. So I feel like the water's a little colder here right now. But the fact that I get up on a certain time now, I set a realistic goal for me. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter. Like, you hear all these motivational speakers, as you've pointed out to me, Brian, about getting up at 4 a.m. and going to the gym and grinding your face off and doing, I get it. Cool. I tried it for 2 years and I only let myself down.
Yep.
Because I would set that unrealistic goal for me that just didn't fit my world.
I mean, I've said this before. I posted something on Facebook about it, and I've said it before. Failure only exists because the expectation we set on the result.
Yeah, on ourselves usually.
It's like,
right?
If I don't do this by then I have failed. No, it's just taking you longer.
And then I want to give up.
Like, the reality is, it's just taking you longer than you expected, and that's okay. You didn't fail. You just stopped trying. That's when you fail. Right. Once you stop trying, you failed.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you right now, if you want to build a real business, it takes time. Some of you may get lucky and your business may explode in the first year. And more often than not, that business doesn't last 5 to 10 years.
They say only 2, what is it? 2 or 10, 2 or 10%. I don't know which businesses last the first 2 years. Make it through the first 2 years.
Here's the craziest part. When we talk about generational businesses, most of them don't go into the third generation.
Ooh.
Because, like we said, good times create weak people. And the third generation of a great business has probably got some pretty weak children. When you talk about poverty,
weak children and very what's the word I'm looking for? They think they deserve
entitled.
It. Entitled.
There we go.
Thank you.
Here's the thing: like, if you want to talk about, and you can see this everywhere. Most great people came from nothing.
Yeah,
that's because they didn't have a choice. You want to know the cool part? If you came from something, you still have a choice.
There you go. There you go.
You have a choice and an advantage. Whoa, jeez. And then you go into suck because you became a weak person.
Because you felt
You
entitled.
have no one to blame but yourself. You thought you just deserved it, and you don't deserve a damn thing. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you've been through. The world doesn't owe you anything, and it's not going to give you anything. You got to take it.
You are in charge of your life, whether you're
Period.
whether you grow up in a wealthy home, middle class home, or like my home. You know what I mean? And you say got it from nothing. You know, I say that term a lot. You know, like everything that we did with the Truman houses and me getting in recovery and me, I got it out the mud, man.
Yep.
You know, I got it out the mud, and everybody asked me like, how did you pick a career? How did you start doing what you're doing? And I have the answer for them. I have no idea. Like, I didn't pick my career. I didn't pick what I wanted to do. Like, it picked me. Honest to God, like I just became this person where in this moment, right this second, I'm gonna do more than that's expected of me.
Yep.
I'm gonna add, like you said a minute ago, I'm gonna add more value to what I'm doing than what's expected of me. I'm gonna add more value than what I'm getting paid for, right? And that just started this chain of events where it just kept compounding itself to where, you know, doors would open. And I would see the door open, and I would kick that door in sometimes, and I would walk through that door, you know, instead of usually, you know, I'd suffer from self-worth, be like, I don't deserve to go through that door, or I'm going to fail if I go through that door, you know, the 100 forms of fear, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, you know, so people ask me, like, I have no idea. I just kept doing me. I have found for once in my life, I think it's the most important thing you can do in your life. If you don't have a purpose yet, you better find it.
Yeah.
What is your passion? What are you? It don't even have to be something you're good at. Maybe you will become good at it. You know, but what is your passion? And then hyper focus on that.
And accept that it's never too late.
True that.
Like, it's never too late.
I was 35. I was 35 before I started this journey.
I lived in a space for a long time where I was like, I'm just not going to bother because it's just too late. I've gotten too old. Like, by the time I build it, I'll be this. And I started doing this unexpected math in my head as if I knew when I was going to die or something. Like, you know,
like if you're 60, you still got another good 25 years.
Right. Like, I'm breaking down the variables. Like, I know I already have the answers, when in reality, all that I'm doing is just making an excuse. Mm-hmm. I'm not in love with anything in that moment. And that's all the problem really was. So once I became in love with myself, which most people's like, that's arrogant.
No,
whatever.
No, it's not.
Like, if you aren't in love with yourself, you're doing things wrong. Because if the only reason you do things is for other people, you're going to have some problems.
Oh, we talk about that in recovery, you know, because a lot of people get sober because of the judge. A lot of people get sober because of the wife or the husband or the kids. You know, you hear that a lot. Like, I got to get clean for my kids. Like, okay, but it's going to fail if that's the only reason.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah, you definitely do. I mean,
you need to get sober for yourself. And if you do that, your kids are the byproduct.
Yes. Because,
like,
I mean, you watch that fail so often. You know, I don't want to say it fails because anytime you get sober, say you're only sober for 90 days, that's a success.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not, you know, relapse today is death. You know, and it is in so many cases, like, relapse is death. So I definitely never say relapse is part of a recovery journey, and it definitely doesn't have to be, because today, in today's society, a relapse could definitely mean death. But if you're getting sober for your kids, and that's the only reason, or the judge tells you to, you're less likely. I mean, there's always a moment sometimes. Maybe at 30 days, something's going to click in your head and be like, because, you know, when I first got into AA, I first walked into rooms of AA, like, I didn't want to be there. I had no idea that I was going to stay sober, but something happened. We call it, you know, we call it a spiritual, I can't even think of the word.
Spiritual awakening.
A spiritual awakening.
Yeah.
Thank you. You know, and they talk about those spiritual awakenings in our literature, but, like, I have had hundreds of spiritual awakenings. Right. Hundreds. And today I get to actually be aware of them because I try to stay aware of what's going on in my world.
Right.
You know?
Because you had an aha moment, but then you finally did something. Like, we all have aha moments. They happen every day. I have them regularly just because, like, I'm just like, ooh,
sometimes that hits you like a 2x4.
Yeah, sometimes you're like, damn, and I have been hit with a 2x4. We'll talk about that some other time.
I got baseball bat twice.
The thing is like...
That's me comparing.
Again, now, like, for me... And look, you can fall in love with something and then realize you're not in love with it. That's okay.
It
doesn't mean you failed it. You need to be aware of it. You need to move on.
Yeah.
I recognize patterns, right? And I didn't even realize I was recognizing patterns until I started realizing that I should be recognizing patterns, and people started talking about it, like recently with Tony Robbins when he talks about the pattern recognition and then pattern utilization. More than 10 years ago, before life coaching was ever a thing, I wanted to do it.
All right.
I called my mom. I was like, I'm high as a kite. I'm going to be a life coach, right?
She said, what the hell is that?
Because I had a passion in me. I just didn't know what to do with it. I had an aha moment. I didn't know what to do with it. What I noticed over the past 4 or 5 years is that because I've been doing nothing but coaching myself. Now, I've had a ton of help. Don't get me wrong. This isn't all me. This is coming from like research, YouTube, hundreds and thousands of hours of like, I don't listen to the radio. I listen to books. I don't go home and just watch stupid Hulu. I do sometimes because me and my wife just need to relax. I have balance in it.
Yeah.
But when I have the time and I make it more time than it adding value, I'm doing more because I don't want to be lazy. And I know I can go into that pattern. So I'm aware of the patterns that I already have, and I want to have the patterns that have existed over time. So if you have something that you were like driven by when you were a child and it keeps coming back up, that's a pattern. Embrace that pattern.
Check it out.
And move on with it. So where I'm at now is coaching myself and getting coached by a lot of people.
That's important too.
You know, I have mentors. I have
If
business mentors. I have friend mentors.
Yeah, if you don't have mentors in several aspects of your life, then you're obviously egotistical.
You
and
can't
don't
be
think,
a mentor until you've had one.
See, I've had several of them.
Right? Like people act like you're not Nostradamus. Like, knock it off.
Chris
and I
ain't.
believe even Nostradamus, Chris might be, but the thing is like you can't be a coach
Iron
unless you're
sharpens
coachable.
iron. Iron sharpens
Right.
iron. You know what I mean? You got to have that.
So,
like,
like-
the most important people in my life
Yeah.
are the people who call me out on my shit.
Yep.
You know?
Honesty.
Yeah.
I live in a very awkward space of honesty, and my wife will call me out on it sometimes. She's like, "Do you ever walk slow?" Nope. She's like, "You didn't even want to think about it?" Nope. Like, I give her the truth,
Yeah.
and I want the same thing in return because the truth hurts when you allow it to hurt, or it can inspire you. Because the truth is the truth.
That's it. You got two choices at that point too.
Lying is just sugarcoating stuff.
Yeah.
That's just the reality of it.
Yeah. You know, and that's if you don't have mentors, if you don't have people that call you out, people in your corner that call you out on your BS, like you need to get some. You need, like, you can have people around you all the time gassing you up, and guess what? It's just, it's not going to be prudent to your growth.
Yep.
You know, I got several people in my life and had for several years people that call me out, you know, on different, I got different people for different aspects. I got my financial, I got my business partners, I got my therapist who loves to, yeah. And then I got Brian Kendrick, and I got my sponsor, and I got several people in the program throughout the years who just call me out, man. And I tell you, those people are more valuable to me than anyone else on this planet, because those people will take the risk of perhaps even pissing me off. And that's the thing too. You've got to be humble enough to take on constructive criticism. If you don't have valuable critics in your life, like people talk about that all the time, like, oh, don't judge. Bullshit. Judge. Use discernment, right? Like, call me out if you see me acting up.
Well, I wouldn't call that judging, really. Like, let's call a spade. I'm not judging you for it. I'm just telling you how you are.
Well, that's true.
There's a difference between it. Like, judging is I'm going to set myself above you and I'm going to look down on you, and that's judging. Like, judgment is I think I'm superior, so I'm going to say you're not.
Right.
That's how I see judgment. I see, let's call a spade a spade. Marty, you're acting like a dick. Right?
How dare you?
Like, no.
I was just trying to have a good podcast.
I don't want to throw out his name, but I know he's going to hear this. And I remember being in the gym, and the first time we were talking about certain things, and I just called you out. And somebody in the gym was like, I don't think I've ever heard anybody do that.
What's up, Jake?
Love you, Jake. But, you know, like,
Jake Bowmanshaw, everyone.
he's amazing. And they, dude, for who he's at and where he is in his life, I see nothing but greatness for that guy.
Yeah.
Like, he genuinely loves to grow.
Yeah.
In a very uncomfortable space.
Yeah.
But even
I make sure
at
of that.
times, he is like, okay, I wasn't expecting that. And I'm like, look, what's he going to do? Beat me up? Like, let's be real about the situation here. We're grown adults. I'm going to call him out and be like, this is what I saw.
Right.
Just the truth of my opinion. I wasn't judging you for it, though. I've just given you my honest feedback. And so, speaking of feedback, when you give it to someone, what I have learned in a lot of ways through therapy and a lot of other coaching things is when you give someone feedback, ask for their permission first. In a lot of ways, when
You do that.
Can I give you some feedback?
Yeah.
And then they'll say, yeah. Are you sure?
Can I challenge you?
Or can I challenge you? Like, right? Like
You say that to me a lot.
When you give someone
Well,
unsolicited feedback, it can come across judgy.
Well, also check your intentions.
Yeah.
Like, why am I wanting to tell him this? You know, if your intentions are pure, then you should do it.
Then you should feel safe.
Yeah.
But you want to make sure the other person feels safe. So there's barriers that you need to respect with people only because there is a level of communication that needs to go down, and the communication needs to be open when you're doing these types of things. And so you need to do the same thing with yourself. Yeah. You need to be willing to, and that's how you fall in love with something is you need to check where you're really at. Like what do I want? Why do I want it? How am I going to get there? That is the key to, like we talked about falling in love, and when we're talking about business, and so many people I hear all the time, man, I'm going to start this business. And I'm like, okay.
Why? What's your vision?
And then money. Okay, not going to work. Right. Oh, I'll show you. Please do.
Please prove me wrong.
Because if the why just became to prove me wrong, at least it's better than the money.
Right.
At least you've got some sort of drive that's not money.
Yeah, there's a then something else happens.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I tattooed my face because everybody told me I shouldn't. Well, there's more to the story. I tattooed my face because a stripper had it, and I was really mad in the moment because she had more tattoos than me, so I went and got a face tattoo. And that's the story of my first face tattoo.
I got a face tattoo. It should have said unemployable.
But someone said, you just ruined your life. Okay.
Yeah.
And there are times when I'm like, man, I wish I could find that person and smack him with my wallet.
Do you know who that person was?
No, I really don't remember it. I remember hearing it.
Yeah.
Right? But
I'll say, because we'd look for him right now. Chris, get him on the show.
With social media nowadays, he's probably going to hear this and be like,
him.
that was me, and you don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
You know, not, you can be that guy, but you know what I mean? Like, I love doing everything they said I couldn't.
Yeah, twice.
Because I am going to do whatever I want. Period. And I'm honest about it, and I'm in love with it, and I trust the journey of it, and I know I'm going to suck at a lot of it, which means I need to grow through a lot of it.
Embrace the suck.
Because I don't want to get comfortable.
Yeah.
There's a difference between balance and comfort. You can have balance in your life, but getting comfortable causes problems. This is what happens in marriages. We've talked about this. You get comfortable.
We're not talking about relationship.
No, it doesn't matter. The business, relationships, it doesn't matter. As soon as you get comfortable, like if you stay ready, you got to get ready. This is a big saying that everybody's heard a million times. And they're like, how do I do that? You train yourself.
Yeah.
And the more you do it, the easier it gets, which means what you thought was hard before is no longer hard. And that's the journey. That's where growth comes from. So I am always going to dive deep into doing things I don't want to do to try to grow as a person because I want to be a better man. And when I'm a better man for myself, it's a byproduct of being a better husband. It's a byproduct of being a better uncle. It's a byproduct of being a better son. Automatically, that's just what happens when
being
you
a better
do this.
host on Talk Hard podcast.
Yeah, like you know what was the most uncomfortable thing for me was watching that and being like, dude, relax.
Why did I do that?
Like
Why did I say that?
That victim one
We
got
are
me,
our biggest
that victim
critic.
one got me in the victim space because I was like, that's emotional for me because you could clearly see how on edge I was because that one's tough for me.
Yeah.
And I let it get to me that day, and I embrace it. You know what? That's the whole point of watching this journey. Like, I have grown from watching that to now because I'm aware of it now. And that was in my head all damn day. Where I was like, I need to meditate for a minute.
I need to quit saying F-bombs so often.
I need to right. Like,
even
there's a way
though
to talk without it. Right. But I get passionate is what I call it because I just feel differently about a lot of things. But I don't want at the same time it's not all about me.
Yeah.
So I can communicate better and get more people to understand where I'm coming from without getting all, and now I'm going to flex and I'm going to get all in my head. My blood pressure is through the damn roof. My watch just told me to breathe. And like all these things are happening right now. And I'm probably being pretty unhealthy because I let my feelings, which we talked about in the last podcast, get in my way. This is what happens. So I learned to accept my feelings for where they're at, fall in love with the journey, and grow. when that starts to happen, your life will change. And so it's exciting for me. Like I wake up and trust me, I woke up, cold showered because we dedicated, woke up, cold shower, meditation, then cold shower. I end my shower with cold. So if you want to do the cold shower, you don't have to jump straight into it. Like you don't have to straight torture yourself. You can take a warm shower and then turn it cold. There's another way to do it.
I have to do that.
Yeah.
Like I jump in where it's a little more than warm, and then I take it down slowly until I get it all the way over, and then I stand there for as long as I can.
Right. So cold shower has a lot of science behind it, and then I set my intentions. I'm ready to go, and then as soon as I got to work, everything fell apart. So the day doesn't just go amazing because I said it that way, right? I can't control the outside world. All I control is how I respond. And I was texting my wife, and I was super frustrated, and I was like, "I'm sorry, I'm just really irritated right now," and the more I just embraced that uncomfortable space, the easier the day got. But I had to sit in it for a minute and not react.
Yeah.
I had to just let it be.
I know I talked about this last time, and I want to talk about like waking up with intention, and how this new morning habit has changed my life. You know what I mean? Like, I wish I could tell you guys right now, and you would listen to me. I know you won't. I just know.
Some of you will.
I mean, when I wake up, I've done this several times throughout my recovery the last 7 years. Wake up and I grab this. First, it's my alarm going off right beside my head, and I wake up and I grab it, and the next thing you know, 2 hours has passed by, an hour has passed by, whatever it may be. Maybe it's just a half hour. That's like, first off, it's wasted time, and I shouldn't be doing that. It's not the way to start your morning. Your mind, when you wake up, the first thing you should put into it kind of sets the precedence for the rest of your day. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's the first 15 minutes. I don't know if it's the first half hour. I don't know what it is. But if that's the first thing you do is you go on there and you scroll and you see, let's face it, there's a lot of negativity in the world. There's a lot of stuff you don't care about. There's these big booties bopping around everywhere. There's these nice trucks and rims, and there's all this stuff that doesn't need to be in your head when you're what is it when you wake up? Your brain is
hypnosis.
You're still in a stage of hypnosis, and that's how you are setting it, man. So if you wake up and you change your morning habits from not grabbing that damn phone, I have got to the point where I don't touch that phone for an hour. That's my new part of my new routine. I don't touch the phone for damn near an hour. If I do, I look at the screen and I say, okay, nothing emergency, cool, and I go on. But if you set your intentions to not touch the phone, you get your morning meditation, and you read something spiritual, something motivational, something that puts you in a right headspace, and you jump in the cold shower, and as soon as you get out of the cold shower, you run to the gym and get that more. That's what I do. Like, and I don't touch that phone. And my day in the last 8 days or something.
Yeah.
My last 8 days just everything about the way that I perceive things today has changed dramatically, and it happened within the first 3 days. Like, holy shit! Because touching that phone in the morning, the next thing you know, an hour goes by. Like, your brain is fogged already. It's already fogged with negativity and stuff you shouldn't be thinking about, stuff that ain't getting you to that next level. What's getting you to that next level is education, knowledge, spiritually awakening, just whatever it is. Something positive in the morning will set your whole day. Absolutely. That way, when something negative does happen when you get to work, you're able to deal with it better because you're in a good headspace.
Yep.
Instead of in a fog or just whatever, man.
But most people are comfortable. Like, most people think they have life figured out. Well,
you know what I mean? I don't. I think they're settled. Like, I think they're like, holy shit, my life sucks. Okay, well, what are you doing when you first wake up? They're like, well, I grab, if they want to be honest, I grab my phone and I'm on TikTok or I'm on Facebook or I'm on Instagram.
Oh, no. My favorite one is I don't have time.
I don't have time to do this, and this.
Because I had to sleep 8 hours every single day. And while I get sleep is very healthy, don't get me wrong.
Go to bed earlier.
Right. I can't. Well, with that attitude,
you won't.
You're right. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. That's just the reality of life.
Truth,
this is just the way it is. Everything you want is right on the other side of everything you don't feel like doing.
Bam. Hashtag that.
That's just the reality of life. I don't feel like doing half the crap I do. If I'm being honest about it, I don't feel like any of it. But when I am,
like, most importantly, I don't feel like getting out of bed. It's cold out there.
oh man,
Outside of my covers.
Showers were rough at first because it's 4:30 in the morning for me. It's 4 degrees outside.
And I think the water's colder.
It's definitely colder because the pipes are frozen to the house, right? Like, we're talking about a different level of cold.
I guarantee you there's not much, I mean, unless you've changed your mindset on it, which I've slowly started to do. Like, I want it. It's exciting instead of nervous, right? But unless it's not something you want to do.
Well, there's a psychological side to it that I want people to understand is when you do that, the reason it becomes so exciting is because you have consciously started to retrain your subconscious to take control. I'm going to do this.
My subconscious says, I don't want to do it.
I feel like it. I'm going to do this. You're mine. You belong to me. And when you take ownership in your head and tell your body what to do, most people's bodies run their life. Their subconscious tells their body how to feel. They get all anxious, all serious, all stressed out. And then I can't control this. What are you talking about? You can control whatever you want.
You're in charge.
You are definitely in charge. And so there's this psychological part of the excitement.
Listen, like you sitting there when he said, and I said, you're in charge. You're like, no, not me. They are. I'm not. You are in charge.
Everybody.
You're in charge of your life. You're in charge of your thoughts. You're in charge of your behaviors. You're in charge. And that sounds so simple, but it does. And what makes you in charge is you can retrain your brain to think, behave, react, don't react in whatever circumstance. You won't, you know what I mean?
I got a news flash for everybody that they're going to hate. They're going to hate me for this one.
Here we go.
It is simple. You overcomplicate things. Period.
Woo,
you let your feelings get involved. You let your subconscious take over. You get all these things that you don't like, and you jump back into comfort. I want to get back in the blanket. I want a warm shower. I want all these things too.
Yeah.
Right? Until they are trying to. Fear is basically predicting an outcome that you want before you've ever experienced it because it gives you the excuse to not do it.
That's that brain.
The reality of it
Survivor
is you don't
mode.
know. Well, man, every relationship has failed. Okay, there's going to be one that hasn't. Every relationship I have ever been in has failed until I met my wife, and I was 39 when that happened. Or I met her at 37, but 38, something like that. I don't even remember.
Okay, 38 it is.
Yeah, we're in this some age. We got married in 2019. I know that much. But the reality of it is like and I'm talking, I'm not taking any pride in this, but I'm talking a lot of relationships. Mm-hmm. Too many. Because I would go from one to the next. I wouldn't take time to heal because I can't be alone. I'm afraid of being alone. I
don't feel like being alone.
Right. Like, guess what, dude? You're alone. I don't care if someone's there with you. You're still in your own head. So whether you understand that or not, or girl, or a dude for a girl, I don't really care. You're alone.
Disclaimer.
When everything is
message.
When everything is said and done, and you're laying in that hospital bed and you die, guess who's going with you? No one. You're alone.
Unless you get that good wife who's like, I'm not letting you go by yourself. I'm going with you. Ride or die.
But the reality of it is she still can't go with you.
No, you're
right?
Like
I get what you're saying, and I love it. And Romeo and Juliet was an amazing story. But
also fictional.
Ride or die, right? Like people die when other people die because they've accepted that they no longer have a purpose in their life because their purpose was never about themselves. They have stopped falling in love with themselves. They have made everything in their life about something or someone else.
Yeah.
And you just can't do that.
It's not sustainable.
It's definitely not sustainable because people are going to let you down. The world's going to let you down. Things are going to kick you in the face. Everything's going to happen. The world sucks.
Also, the world doesn't owe you shit.
And it won't. It's never going to pay you back for all the things you think you deserve. If you deserve it, go get it. If you think you deserve it bad enough, then go get it. It should be pretty easy if you deserve it, right?
Here's the other side of that, too. Even if you don't think you deserve it, go get it.
Right.
Go get it.
But if you're not, once you're in love with yourself, I deserve everything at this moment in time. Like,
that's true.
So
number one thing to do is fall in love with yourself.
And stop overcomplicating things. Stop overthinking things. Keep it simple, stupid.
It's the first thing I heard when I got in recovery.
Like, it's just
How
the truth.
dare you call me stupid?
And I still, like, I'll be trying to listen to an audiobook. My mind will be like, woo, 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 left, 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 left. No blinker. We're just going to keep going left. Like I'm driving a NASCAR. Like, and I have to consciously take control.
Right.
Shut up. Listen to me. We're trying to do something right now. Shut up. We're trying to pay attention. And that'll last sometimes 12 seconds. And then I'm like,
then you gotta do it
dude,
again.
stop.
Yeah.
I'm in control. Knock it off. And it takes action. But if I were to overcomplicate it, by then be like, why do I do this? And now I'm down the rabbit hole so far, I can't even see the top. Mm-hmm. Keep it simple. You're in control. You can do whatever you want. I guarantee it. If you don't believe it, then it's never going to happen. So your beliefs dictate your thoughts. Your thoughts dictate your feelings. Your feelings dictate your actions. Your actions create your results. So if you don't believe in yourself first, what do you think is going to happen?
If you don't believe in yourself, there's a million books out there you can start reading. That's the thing, though, is like nobody wants to take the time or sacrifice the time in order to like Gary Vee talks about it all the time. If anything you want to know in life, you want to become it. Like I say this all the time. You don't get what you want out of life. You get what you are. Yeah. So you work on changing who you are. And the way you work on changing who you are is you educate yourself, you do research, you read books, you do self-helps, you do whatever it takes to get you there. That's what you're going to do, because you do not get what you want in life. You get what you are.
So a lot of people think that knowledge is power. And on some level it is, but knowledge without action is useless. You can understand something, not know how to do it.
Yeah.
Right? I am not going to be a neuroscientist by any level of the imagination. I'm not going to operate on people's brains. You're all safe. But I am really trying to understand how the brain fires. And there are words, the amygdala and the hippocampus and all these other things. And like, it's like, I've got to read them 40 times before I really grasp. And I need like the pictures, and I need to like point down at where in the brain it's actually happening. And then there's more to it on the psychological activist. And someone said vagus nerve. And I was like, let's go. Oh, wait a minute. You're talking about the nerve that goes from the stomach to the brain. Like,
it's like going to Vegas.
I'm hearing these things and I'm diving into it because I want to understand. Like, if you want to know, understand. If you want to understand, read. Do something.
So the most
thing
powerful,
makes you superhuman.
Yeah, it's so true. The most powerful tool that we have is a 3-pound tool, and it's called our brain.
Yeah.
But we don't want to spend any time growing the experience. Like, there's so much knowledge that I gained from experiences. Like I said this a million times. I learn more, like, making mistakes. Like, I learn how, like, my brain never just seems to, like, I'm a quick learner. It just takes me forever.
Yeah, I get it.
So I have to try and fail. And that's where I learn. If Gary Vee says, if you want to be an expert or a master at something, all you have to do is study that, whatever specific topic, study it for 40 hours and you will become a master of it.
Yeah.
40 hours is all it takes.
And dive deep, though. Like, we're not talking about, like, 40.
I think
if you're genuinely studying, now let's talk about, like, studying. Are we going to study or are we going to study? Like, there's a massive difference. Like, dive deep into, and again, this comes from passion. So if you're in love with the process, like, I'm in love with the way my brain fires because I have had a brain that made me think I was crazy. And if you understand what I'm talking about racing thoughts and things that don't make sense and all these fears that just drive you nuts. Like, I am a worst case scenario human being because I've experienced a lot of them. And so based on my past experiences, that became my new belief system. And then that led me to drugs, a rabbit hole, all these different problems, failed relationships, a million different things that didn't work. Right? Well, they weren't working because I wasn't trying to fix myself.
Right. And
now I've become so deep into that studying that now it's like I'm literally reading about the actual brain.
And I think you're just scraping the top of the iceberg.
100%.
You know, like the amount of growth. I said this at the first episode. Like, you guys out there are going to watch us grow through this whole thing.
Absolutely.
So
by episode, I don't know.
167.
I'm not going to be a neuroscientist.
Yeah, he'll be an expert.
But I'll be able to talk to one. He will say words and be like, yeah. I'm just going to be like, I'm gonna be that tattooed asshole. Excuse my language. I'm really working on that, but I'm gonna be that tattooed asshole that like walks into like a medical gala, and I'm just like, yeah.
And I'm gonna be standing next to him. I'm gonna be standing next to him, going, "It's not rocket surgery."
So listen, guys.
Have a good day.
We're gonna leave you with this one. If you want something, first know what you want. Know why you want it.
Why?
Then figure out how to do it, and understand the only time you're going to fail is when you set an unrealistic expectation on your goals.
And if you do fail, that's okay too. The whole point of failing, for so many of us out here, we fail and we're done. Right?
It's like Thomas Edison. He didn't fail. He just learned 10,000 different ways how to not make a light bulb.
All right, and that's the thing. Is like I said, failure is part of this growth.
Yeah.
So continue to fail. Continue to push through it. Continue to learn and grow through it. You don't go through things. You grow through them. If you could take on that mindset, you're going to go far.
It's okay to not be okay.
I'm not okay right now.
Well, that's because we just talked about relationships. Go listen to that one. That was the most fun I think.
All right, so the relationship.
Love yourself.
is down
Chase
there.
your dreams. Let's go out and get it, guys. Love you.